I'm going to introduce you to Ginger Johnson.
Hello.
David, you've already done this, haven't you? You did this. David, Mahatma, and Rudy. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you very much. Actually, Peter, are we ready to go? Yeah, okay. It's very hard to see, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, you like that? You prefer it?
It's like an Instagram filter on the whole room. You all look gorgeous.
Only with the filter. We said, and I will repeat for the sake of the video, thank you for having me back for a third year, and welcome back yourselves for a third year. This is the third in a trilogy of queer Christmas shows commissioned by the Pleasance, assembling the same comedy. Oh, now, come on, and Azara.
No, we're good,
Okay, cool. So we've got several people in the audience who saw the previous two, which was How to Catch a Krampus and Escape from Planet Trash. I am amazed because I remember so clearly when we did the Q&A for Planet Trash, Ginger, you gave us a sneak peek then, and I asked you what was the third one going to be, and you said Dog Show, and I've been looking forward to this ever since. I've been very excited. But for those who might not have heard what you said then, remind us, why did you go from doing a show about a gothic horror to then a sci-fi spoof to now a canine-inspired cabaret?
First off, I'd like to say that I'm probably not going to give the same answer as I gave 2 years ago.
Okay. That'll keep it interesting.
There was something about the oh God, where do we even start? David and I have had this conversation so many times over the last 2 months. There's something about you can do whatever you want when you're a dog. You know, being a dog, being a dog's a bit like being a drag queen. You know, you can get away with some other things. And there was something about the kind of performance element of a dog show and the artifice of it all that was just something that I really wanted to play with. You know, and we found this way into sort of try and make it about the queer experience, and when those things started to land, it all sort of fell into place after that.
Oh, and I should say that Ginger co-created this with David, and they co-directed it as well. And shall I remind you what you said 2 years ago?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
You also said that that you felt that drag was getting a reputation as being all about competition because of RuPaul and that, and that for you coming here and at Christmas in particular, because so much of the rest of the year was performing solo, that coming here and performing in an ensemble and that feeling of family was so special, and you wanted to communicate that.
That's very insightful, isn't it, Azara?
So there you go. So do you still stand by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and with How to Catch Krampus and Planet Trash, I said you were the person of many slashes. You were writer, director, designer, etc., etc., etc. This time, though, you are sharing two of those slashes with David.
Yeah, we love a slash.
So, how did that come about? So, David, you had been in the previous two shows, but this time you step up to. Did you just get sick of Ginger being a bit of a megalomaniac?
Yeah, I just rolled them down over years. I was just like, you're actually not very good and you need my help. No, not at all.
You cut from tomorrow's show.
No, it was also, I did all the music in the show.
Yes.
And in these post-COVID times, there is less budget and it's a lot cheaper we couldn't afford to have a live band. So we needed someone who could make tracks and produce stuff. Which I can do. So then I stepped into that role, and then because it's such a music-heavy show, it just made sense to kind of share the whole thing. It's half music basically, so it kind of just became a whole co-creating thing. Yeah. And it's more fun that way, I think. Ultimately.
So much more fun.
Yeah.
Well,
so much more fun.
So how do you feel like we're working so much more closely with a collaborator?
Oh, it's been fab. It's been so fun. I always love doing these big ensemble shows for exactly the thing you were saying before, that being a solo performer, it's quite a lonely life. You know, you like stumble from dressing room to dressing room, and people pass each other, and you never really see anything. So it's always so fun to come together with a cast at this time of year. But it's been so nice working with David, because normally it's like me just crying into a hole, you know, and now David and I cry into a hole.
It's great.
This hole.
By the way, do you see these two guys? I don't know why they've taken off their dog heads now, but did you see them with their dog heads?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I remember that from the previous shows too, that you'd have people showing up dressed according to the theme. Does that happen each night?
We've had some Full Metal
Pups.
fetish pups in the front row, which has been absolutely amazing. It's so fun to have people that are really into that thing in the room as well. That's been really fun. But yeah, people like to get dressed up and have a night out. I'm all for it. I mean, we can't just do it, you know.
Yeah. So we talked about that. That was a big change from the previous two to this time round. You've had some other changes because we've got new members of the company as well, with Azara and Rudy, and wonderful to have Mahatma back.
Hi.
So first of all, let me start actually with the returning Mahatma. How do you feel taking on this completely different role from the last two?
Awful. No, it was very challenging because I'm not a rapper at all. So when these two came along and they were like, "So we wanted you to do a rap," I was like, "Okay, okay." So I'm accepting the challenge. But I think because we've worked together, I understand the process. I was very excited. I was like, "Cool. I know what we're doing. I know where we're gonna go." And so I was happy to be accepted within this journey. Plus, the way that Ginger writes, and you know, I've heard some of David's songs previously. It's just so funny, so irreverent, and it's a mode of speech that we need to hear. So for them to lend that to me and give me that voice, I was very happy to be part of.
Amazing. And you got to be a pug.
I got to be a pug. I mean, as soon as we started talking dogs, Ginger was like, "You're a pug," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, I agree." I can't breathe. I sleep all day. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
I was quite shocked by how few dog owners there were in the audience, but are there any dog owners here on the stage with me?
No.
Yeah. Azara?
You have a dog?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
This has never come up in conversation.
And I think we might have mentioned it in the day one.
Definitely.
Lots of instances on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've slept since then.
What type of dog?
A staff.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so Azara, Rudy, you've now joined a new. Had you been to either of the previous shows?
No, I hadn't. But this is my first kind of step into theatre as well. So
And are you enjoying?
yes, of course, it's been very challenging. Just learning so many new things about myself as a performer, as a person. Rising to all these challenges and stuff has been great, and the cast have been very supportive with this new kind of venture of mine.
And what is it that you've discovered new about yourself as a performer?
I think more of the technical things, like backstage kind of things, because I'm a cabaret performer, and you're very much in charge of yourself, and it's like you do your thing, you come off, and then the next person does their thing. But with this kind of thing, you really have to be aware of what everyone's doing. There has to be a unit going on, and everyone has to kind of be aware of everything, and just learning that, being more accountable for myself in this kind of situation is something I really had to kind of get into. And I'm kind of grateful for that, because I think I needed that in order to progress as a performer anyway. Yeah.
So do you think you'll do more?
I would like to. I might take a break for a while.
But then book a bitch.
Yeah. I definitely want to doing theatre and acting is something I've always wanted to do, and just this being my first one, I think was necessary and very important for me. So yeah.
Well
And you're
done.
brilliant at it.
So,
Yes,
you really
you
are brilliant.
You are. And Azara, what about you?
What about me? What would
Had you seen either of their previous shows, and why did you want to be a part of it this year?
Okay, yeah. So I hadn't seen any of the previous shows. and I got the call out, and actually Nick emailed me, and I was like, okay, this sounds.
And Nick
really
is the head of theatre here at the program here at the Pleasance. Yeah.
And they emailed me, and I was like, okay, this sounds really interesting. I was like, I got the breakdown of what they wanted you to prepare for the audition. I was like, wow, they want everything. It was like, right, prepare a song, a party trick, and what was it? What else was it? It was a song, a party trick, and...
We then asked you for a rap on the day.
On the day.
Yeah, because we'd forgotten to...
and like, it just felt like there was like, I had to like pull out all the stops, and I was like, okay, well, I'm pushing the boat out. I don't really sing in my work, but I'll try it. And I just finished a show like a month before, so I was like, oh, it'd be great to kind of get back into something, and this would be completely different to what I was doing before. So I'd be like, it'll be great, it'll be queer fun. I just was like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. So yeah, and it's kind of just been that journey of like, queer, intense, crazy world of absurdity and just fast-paced, like, right, in it to win it, But it's been amazing, I've really enjoyed it, and the collaborative process, bringing it in and kind of just mucking in, it's been really fun.
Amazing. And what was your party trick?
Oh,
Show us.
I did a windmill, but I was really nervous because I was like, okay, I haven't had anywhere to practice. It's COVID, like training isn't open, so I haven't been able to do any go to breakdancing classes. So I was like, I'm gonna try. Can you give me a second? So I was like, go away, and then I did it, and then I was like, okay, cool, I can do it.
Oh.
So that was the party trick.
And what were the other party tricks?
I think I did like a front handspring or something like that. Yeah.
Immediately straight in the show, yeah.
Did you guys have to do party tricks, or you're like,
Well,
we've already
We're the party.
I'm the trick.
Wonderful. Okay, audience, how are you feeling? Are you ready to ask a question? Have I got any hands? Anyone being These people here told me they came especially tonight for the Q&A. Come on.
Get your cues out.
Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, now they're
Whose
going.
idea was your shorts?
Right, do you like them?
I did, yeah.
They were the costume designers. That was, we knew it was going to be a denim look, and all the looks are kind of based somewhat on fetish gear. So you've got the fetish helmets, and then this was a kind of nod to San Fran 70s denim puffs, basically.
They're very good.
And then we were kind of just standing there, and we knew we needed to cut them because we need to show more flesh. And then between us, we were like, maybe it's just nothing but seams. So we just started, and then it just got more and more. We're doing this. But they're great. I was going to say why I'm more shorts like this, but because they're utterly impractical. But
It's basically a hemline and a gooch strap. A collaborative process between the costume designer and a very sharp pair of scissors.
Yeah.
We could actually do this while David was wearing
yeah, it was quite
them
terrifying.
at the same time.
Scary, very scary.
Now, you mentioned the costume designer, so we need to shout out.
Yes.
That is Kelly Desjardins, is
Yes.
that right? And Kelly, good job?
Fabulous,
Obviously.
fabulous.
Obviously.
Kelly's a fetish wear designer and a theatre designer. So when we met her, it was obvious that she was the one to do it.
Yeah.
And she's done a great job of it.
And you got your little teats.
Yes, I've got my little teeth here. I have also just spilt wine down this costume. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for that. Sorry, Kelly.
With the dog, so we've got the pug and Poodle,
Yes.
and Jack Russell.
I was an Afghan hound.
Afghan hound.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't actually met an Afghan hound that I'm aware of, but now I do.
Yes.
Okay.
I was a staff,
Oh, like,
Yes.
what's your staffy's name?
Athena.
Athena.
Of course.
Did you imagine being Athena?
I did. It was more the embodiment of the strength of her and the prowess. She's just kind of just there, don't give a fuck,
What
that's-
color is she?
She is beige brown.
Beautiful. There was a hand in the back, I think.
So I'm not exactly sure who this goes to, depending on who wrote it, but as you know, dogs hump a lot of different things. Why did we choose the footstool for
For rhymes. less things rhyme with puff. For a while it was fucking a puff, because we were like, very obviously funny. But then it was a lot harder to get rhymes in. And then there's something just very funny about the concept of a footstool, as the word footstool is also just very funny. But yeah, no, that was a shared. Where did that come from?
I don't know. It was on a big list of ideas that we had for the show.
Yes.
And it was one.
A love story to it.
Yeah, love story to a piece of furniture.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the part of the show that came out the absolute easiest. We had the idea, we passed it between each other a little bit. Dave wrote the music, we switched the lyrics back and forward, and then it was done. It just seemed. It was the most natural one that we went through because it's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what it says on the tin.
Did you study dogs at all, or you just had ideas in your head?
Without sounding like a twat, at drama school I had to study dogs. But actually I studied wolves, technically. Technically it's a wolf. But for this show, no, we didn't at all. Not at all.
No, we did some dog research into our breeds when we were building the characters in the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
But
we didn't want to be like
particularly
being dogs. We didn't want to be running
Do you
around
like
being
dogs?
Yeah, I love dogs.
Yeah.
I've got 2 cats though, so I'm a bit biased.
You like cats?
Yeah, I've got 2 little cats.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Terry.
One of the things that strikes me about each of these shows is, we have so much fun. Everybody has so much fun, and it all just put together in such a brilliant way. And then you actually drop in these nuggets of, historical people that you are paying tribute to. And I was really struck by the references to Laika the dog. I didn't know that the dog died. I didn't realize that.
Well, the Russians actually lied to the world about the fact that Laika had died. It wasn't until 30 years later, the speech that David gives at the end of that is a speech that Oleg Gazenko gives, where he says, the dog died, it wasn't worth it, we should never have done it, and I feel more guilty about it every day. They lied and said that she was like doing fine up in space, and that she was going to come back down on a parachute and all that kind of thing.
But
she was dead within
according to Wikipedia,
2.5 hours. Yeah.
According to Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's absolutely gospel, but if she hadn't died of heat and asphyxiation, they were going to poison her.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I read that.
But she died before.
Why were they going to poison her?
Because they hadn't planned any recovery, so they thought.
I read that was a lie
Re-entry.
that they told the people that were looking after her that would happen. But there was never any intention for Laika to come back to Earth. The dogs that had gone up before her, there'd been 20 dogs had been put into high altitude before her and brought back down by parachute. But once she was in orbit, they just they had no idea of the kind of technology they would need for her to come back down. Yeah. And they thought she would last longer. There was food and water and stuff in the capsule that she was in. But what actually happened was that the heat proofing on the outside of the capsule disintegrated, and she died a lot sooner than they thought she would.
And then the other that I knew even less about was Octavia. So tell us who Octavia, is it Saint Laurent?
Yes.
Who she was.
Yeah, so Octavia was a ballroom dancer, a performer. She did like different categories, and I think hers was like face and beauty and kind of stuff like that. So, and also she was a trans woman as well. So I think it was like a really important thing to highlight about trans women or just trans people in general and their struggles and the correlation between like the concepts with being a dog as well. I think was quite interesting, merging those two together and bringing it through the music as well.
And is it her voice that we hear?
Yeah.
Some of the parts are from Paris is Burning. And
that's a film that was based on her life?
Yeah, that's a film about the ballroom scene.
Yeah.
It includes loads of different characters. Amazing piece of documentary film that was made at the time. So some of it's from that, and some of it is from later interviews that she did. She's a really inspiring figure. She did so much. At the time, they didn't have the language to...
And the time being...
80s? Yeah, like early 80s. Yeah. They didn't have the language to describe her trans experience. At the time, she described herself as being third gender. And she went on to be a massive campaigner for awareness about AIDS, and she's a really, really inspiring figure
It's an
for
icon.
me. Yeah, and the song that plays when we're coming into the salon, that's one of her songs as well.
And have I missed anyone else that you are paying tribute to in the piece? I mean, last time we talked about your tribute to Greece too, which obviously
Reign
is another
supreme.
level.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Leica and Octavia are the main ones.
Good. Okay. Other hands? Other hands? Other hands? Yes, here.
You spoke of this being part of a trilogy. Does that mean that this is the end?
Well, Terry said it was a trilogy, not me.
You told me that last time, and you
Yeah.
said it was a quilogy.
Originally, the idea was that we would do 3 B-movie pastiches. And Dog Show had kind of intended to be that as well, but the world changed, obviously.
Did it?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a bit different out there. And when Dave and I got together to talk about it, we realised that this was the time that we wanted to make a really, really queer piece of work and talk about the struggles that queer people are facing at the moment, about the community's more fractured than it's ever been, we're divided, people are at each other's throats, you know, that kind of thing. And we wanted to make sure that we could try and make something that was fun and ridiculous and absurd, but also ultimately empowering, because that's what I need in my queer life right now. You know, I need to be told to howl at the ceiling in my life. So we just made the show that we wanted to see, really.
We want to raise queer joy and raise queer revolution is what the aim is.
And you do. And I was really struck by how ready we were all to do the howling right at the beginning. Like we howled at the beginning, we howled at the end. But you didn't quite answer his question, I don't think. So,
Shade!
is this the end, or are you going to be
Well, I
back
hope
next
not.
year?
I've got
Okay.
cats to feed.
So we're going to have you back at the Pleasance.
Well, I can't answer that question, but who knows? Who knows what the world will be like in another 12 months' time? Let's not hedge our bets
Well, actually,
too hard,
it's
Terry.
been 24 months.
Well,
Meant to
yeah.
be 12 months.
Yeah.
But great question. Thank you. Was there another hand? Yes, here.
There's some absolutely banging quotes throughout the whole thing. I wrote some of them down on your fly just because they stuck with me.
Which ones? Give us a couple.
Oh, all right. Your rap was just quality.
Yes.
The mask up there, the he, she, they, and them, and how you act is not attached to your groin, which I just loved. And the whole ending, and you just mentioned it just then, their throats, about everyone's throats are strong as a pact. Do you guys have a favourite line or something that when you write you're like, oh, that's good?
And to add to that, I also will say, Ginger, you said before that, and it's credited in the sheet, that although you and David co-created it, a lot of the material is contributed by the company within the room.
I mean, you can't work with people that are so amazing and have their craft and their amazing ideas and their own experiences of the world.
Yeah.
There's no point in writing for performers like this
Not
and
you.
not including their experience in it. And each of the sort of set pieces that each of them do are all very much informed by their experience. And one of the first things we did at the beginning of the whole process was to sit down with each person from the cast and tell them what our idea was and ask them for their feedback on what their experience was about it. Like, Dave and I can't write from a perspective of being butch, funnily enough.
Yeah, so we
So Zara had to teach us about that so that we could do it.
That lipstick track, we knew we wanted a song about lipsticks and dicks and dogs and about toxic masculinity, but then the interesting conversation that happened was Zara was like, well, it doesn't only exist in for men, it's a problem in the butch lesbian world as well. And we were like, is it? And we was like, oh great. So that was amazing. So then we sent Azara away. We was like, can you write a little bit about your experience of that? And then the final song is kind of a hodgepodge of what Azara's written, kind of tailored by me and Ginger into a full set piece.
And can you add to that, Azara? How did you approach it when they asked you to go away and write about it?
Yeah, so it was, I guess it started mainly from the conversations, because I feel like Lessons from a Lipstick had a whole different trajectory in the beginning. And, it was like, oh yeah, be really like, you know, strong and butch and stud about it. And I was like, yeah, it's not really kind of like, I don't know what, like for me, that message was, I didn't know what that was reading and what that was kind of portraying. And I was like, I think actually I would prefer to talk about, you know, how we are trying to embrace this masculine, hyper-masculinity side, but we're really forgetting the femininity and just being a bit more nurturing and caring and compassionate. Because, you know, just like how we're talking at what the message of the dog show is, like, the whole world is lacking a bit of compassion and nurture for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, that I want to bring in because that's what resonates with me. And then that's why I was saying, you know, it's not just men who are portraying this, like, you know, hyper masculine energy that is quite toxic. You know, other people are doing that as well, and you know, gender it's not restrictive to any genders, you know. And I really wanted just to remind, like, as a reminder of, like, we all have a nurturing side, you know. It doesn't have to be your mother who nurtures you. Do you know what I mean? It can be anybody. You know, we are all able to nurture and care for each other, and that was like, well, I was like, really, that's what I was trying to get across, you know, like the more softer side of what a stud could be, you know, or a butch. And
that kind of real personal insight into that kind of thing is something that is gold when you're trying to write something like this. You know, it just changes the game immediately. Beautiful. And do you have a favourite line from that song or any other part of the show? And then each of the rest of the company as the audience member asked.
I think I like the phrase where it's like, it's a violent cycle you're perpetuating when you act like a twat to who you're penetrating.
Yes.
Ginger?
My one isn't very deep, but I could write the character of Rick. I could write from the morning to the evening, every day of the week. I could sit down and write Rick. It's just so.
Rick comes in a can.
Fun. Rick comes in a can. That's my favorite line. And that came the character of Rick. Mahatma created that character. We did it in an improvisation exercise, and then Dave and I went away and sort of filled in the blanks and fleshed it out a little bit. That's a character that I could. And I want Mahatma to do Rick. I want Rick to be something.
Right? Everyone wants to see more Rick.
What was the inspiration for Rick?
I don't know. I think we were just, so when we were doing like our first 2 weeks of rehearsals, we were talking about this dating video situation, which we all know from, like, you know, back in like the 80s and 90s, like it was a joke, like on a show called Smack the Pony, they were doing it. But before that, like, everyone was like sending out tapes saying like, hi, my name is whatever. And Rick to me is kind of like a guy I would want to date for a bit.
Which bit?
The sausage. You know, like, I feel like, to me, it resonates when we're talking about these characters of, like, how can we, like, inform the human and the dog side. Yeah. And it was really hard because we were thinking about, like, how we were having so many conversations, especially the three of us were like, but how dog do you want it and how human do you want it? We didn't know the disparity between the two. Yeah. And I think in my mind I was like, I just want to do I just want a douche. That's the kind of character I want to see. I'm like this, like, douchey guy.
You want to date?
Radical.
Like, I don't want to date. And it's like, for me, he's got his own world, and I think, like, I'm very much not like that person. So in my mind, I was like, how can I, like, deviate from who I am? And I think that's how Rick started. Which is, again, it's like one of my favorite line from Rick is oregano. Because it's such a stupid, like, who the fuck says that? Like, shut up. Like, you'd see him in a bar and be like, oh, just get me a drink. Let's just, we'll go to yours. It's fine. Just get it out. It's fine. But, yeah.
David, favorite line?
Again, mine's not deep at all, honestly. No. Well, actually, I like the favorite line. Favorite track is the last track because that means the most, I think, to me. But my favorite line is, "It never fails to give me wood just to think of your mahogany colours." Very proud of that.
Well
So it
done.
still gets another mention. That's really.
I think mine's from the lip sync that I did with Octavia. And she's like, "No, I'm not a man. No, I'm not a woman. I'm Octavia.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Octavia." And that's like, as someone who's like identifies as being non-binary as well, and like discovering more about myself as that, and learning and growing, I just felt really connected to those words. It's like, it doesn't matter like about these labels. I am me, and that's the most important thing. You don't need to know anything else. So that was very powerful for me, kind of doing that lip sync. Yeah.
Very good. Now,
Thanks,
see,
Rudy.
I know.
It's bringing us back a little
I
bit.
was going to say that. Yes. Raising the tone.
Brilliant.
Okay, we've got one final question. Is it a good one?
Girl!
Pressure's on.
Wow.
I'm all ears.
A question about the show. Firstly, congratulations again. These shows keep getting better and more batshit crazy.
Better and more batshit crazy.
That's what we're going for. That's
Put it on the
exactly what we're
poster.
going
Put
for.
it on the poster.
We'll be
It's
back
more of
next year.
Not a question about the show, I'm very sorry, but a question about a previous cast member. You'll have to forgive me, I forget her name, but she did a fabulous rendition of S&M in
Lavinia Co-op.
Lavinia
Co-op.
Lavinia Co-op, yeah, Lavinia Co-op. Is she going to be back, or is she...
Lavinia's had a tough year. She's had a triple heart bypass this year. 2 weeks later, she was live on stage at the Brit Awards, so ain't nothing keeping Lavinia Co-op down. But this is, being in these shows is a very intense, tiring experience. And
Also, this year we had 1 week less than we normally would.
Normally we would have 3 weeks to rehearse a show, and we did this in 2 weeks and 2 days, including get-in and tech rehearsals.
So it's been like
it was a very
really
intense process this year. But it was also when we knew that we would have less people, because normally there would be 6 of us in the cast. When we knew that we'd have less people and we knew we wouldn't have the band, it felt like a good opportunity to mix things up a bit. We also really wanted to push forward performers of colour in the cast, because now is the time to do that, and it's absolutely tragic how many Christmas shows this year have all white casts. It's just like, has nobody been
shows?
listening?
Well, yeah.
Has nobody been listening for the past like all this time? And the talent is there, you know. So why not do that? So, but Lavinia's doing well. She's been to see the show twice. So you don't need to worry about Lavinia.
And let's just remember that Lavinia excelled as a piece of shit in
yes, she did.
in Planet Track, right?
Yeah, a piece of shit who didn't realise they were a piece of shit, and you watched them have that realisation. And
What's wrong with me, Dave?
I don't know. You need therapy.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yes.
It's
Fine.
just a sort of a yes/no answer, really. Are you going to record the tracks?
Oh yes.
They're incredible.
If we ever get time.
Yeah, if we get
maybe.
time. I don't know what the legality. I don't know who owns them. Technically, maybe the Pleasance. I don't actually know.
No
but we
idea.
can record. We have technically got recordings of them, but they're slightly shonky because they're just me in the dressing room being like, quickly record this. But yeah, all it would take is putting the vocals on the track, because the tracks exist, because that's how the show runs. Why would you like to buy them? Do you want to get to number 1? Christmas number 1. Fucking the footstool. Christmas number 1.
That's going to be my workout.
This show is slightly different to the others in that the intention was from the beginning that it would be able to have a future life after Christmas. That's why there's not very much Christmas in this show, apart from the fact that Christmas is boring and who actually wants to watch a Christmas show. Hopefully I would love this show to have a future life. I would very happily do this 6 nights a week for some time. So hopefully it'll go out and be somewhere else after this, and we'll get to share it with some more people.
Have you invited Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Well,
to
show him how it's done.
Wait, what did you say?
To show him how it's done. did have an idea for a character. We had an idea for a character in the beginning that all would, throughout the show, would want to sing the song Memory. And then when it came to the point, couldn't remember the words. But turns out that's definitely illegal.
Yeah.
But well, I could see it. Like have cats running in rep with dogs.
Oh, cats is a good. No one's done that. We should do that. Next year we're doing cats. Put that on your Twitter.
And another very silly one. I think I always mean to ask this because I love the costume so much. Do you get to keep any of your costumes?
I'm 100% keeping those. Like, I will go to my grave wearing this. I love this so much.
I think a lot of them are in my house.
So you keep the costumes.
People that have seen the Krampus before might have recognised the creepy baby that appears in the show, which just lives on a shelf in my house with the other 2 creepy babies from the Krampus.
It's horrifying.
But to be honest, by the time you've done 7 shows a week for a month, you don't want to keep that costume.
It walks away by itself.
Yes.
Years, you've got to keep it.
I'm definitely keeping my thong. That's gonna stay.
Okay. Quick final question for each of you then. Having now played dogs, would any of you want to be a dog?
To be a dog.
And if so, which breed?
Would I want to be a dog?
This was meant to be a quick
quite
question.
like wine. I like wine, and I feel like that's not compatible with being a dog.
Dogs can't eat chocolate, so I'm out.
Oh, fuck it.
No, they're not going to be dogs.
No.
Azara?
No, like, yes. It's a hard one, because it's like, I'd like to be a dog so I can play with my dog as a dog, but I wouldn't, horrible. But then I wouldn't like to be a dog because I know when, like, your human gets annoyed and you're being irritating, you're like, give it like, you're like, shut up, lie down, you know? So I wouldn't want to be a dog to have that treatment, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Rudy?
If I had the ability to shapeshift into a dog as a man, then yes.
Like an animal.
Not like always a dog.
That's
my answer.
They can have a pretty good life. Our dog is spoiled rotten.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think the point of the show is that we are kind of like dogs. The way that queer people are treated sometimes, we are treated. It's the same way that we treat dogs. So in a way, we already are.
Cut, prick, Emmy.
And on that note, that was brilliant. Okay, so remind me, Ginger, the show is booking here until
the 19th of December.
19th of December. So, audience, you've been lovely. Haven't they been nice?
Yeah, been great.
Oh, yeah.
Been lovely. And so you guys are our champions, ambassadors for the show. You have plenty of opportunity to come again, but more importantly, go out and tell everyone to come and see this wonderful show and spread the word. And after we give them a clap, for those of you who still got the phones out, I'm going to ask you to take another photo. We're going to budge up and do a big social media shot, and you're going to share that, yeah? Awesome. Okay, so please join me in thanking Azara and Ginger and David and Mahatma and Rudy.
Thank you.